Hi everyone, today, we're going to take a look at the 5 best Japanese knives under $200 on the market for this year. First, we're going to show you our 5 best picks, then we'll talk about what you should look for before buying a best Japanese knives under $200. You can find timestamps and links to all the products we mention in this video down in the description below. Let's get started. Thanks to the internet, we now have easier access to the world's range of brilliant and beautiful knives. That's making more and more people interested in the beautiful craftsmanship and style of Japanese kitchen knives. But it can be hard to separate the true Japanese knives from the fake. Here you will see my selection of Japanese knives under $200, with each knife being made in Japan. Here is my summary table for the best Japanese knives under $200. I've put them in price order. All these knives use great materials, so which one you choose is really down to your budget and design preference. Number 5. JCK Original KG6ES Japanese Knives under $200. JCK are located in the Japanese knife city of Seiki, so you know you're getting the real deal. This 8.2-inch juto uses quality materials, but due to the JCK name not being as well known as the other knives on this list, I think this juto is available at a brilliant price. It uses VG10 steel. It's a quality Japanese steel with a great balance of strength and durability. The carbon content is between 0.95 to 1.05% with a chromium content between 13 to 15%. That means the blade can handle a very fine edge but is also stainless steel and very resistant to rust. Like the Masamoto knife listed above, this JCK knife has a double beveled edge with each at a different angle, with a ratio of 70 to 30. That means one edge needs to be sharpened at around 21 degrees whilst the other is a very fine 9 degrees. That makes for extremely precise cutting, but it does mean that if you intend to sharpen this knife yourself, then the best way is to do it by hand using a whetstone. That way you can ensure each side of the knife is sharpened to the correct angle. The blade is full tang into the handle and double riveted with a half bolster. The handle is pakkawood, a wood composite resin that is very popular in Japanese knife design. It's very strong stuff and is durable too, being resistant to flex and heat. Frankly, the price point for this knife is fantastic given the quality you get. This is a high-carbon, stainless steel Japanese knife with a pakkawood handle for around $100. If this was produced by one of the bigger brands in the world, I think it would cost at least 50% more. Number 4. Shun Cutlery Sara SWT0706 Japanese Knives under $200. It's pretty unlikely that I'll write about Japanese knives and not mention Shun. Shun are a well-known Japanese brand and are very popular in the US. One of the main reasons is that they have married the design of Western and Japanese knives very well and made ranges of distinctly Japanese knives that are still well suited to Western markets. Shun always use a well-balanced steel, one with enough carbon for a very fine edge but enough durability to suit the expectation of today's consumer. This juto from their Kanso range is no different and uses AUS-10, a quality Japanese steel. AUS-10 has a carbon content between 1 to 1.1% and a chromium content of 13 to 14.5%. That means this blade could probably be sharpened to an edge of up to 12 degrees if you wanted to, although the factory edge is around 16 degrees. Of course, the sharper the edge, to more care needs to be taken to prevent it from getting chipped, so the out of the factory edge is rarely as sharp as the steel can handle. The chromium content makes this a quality stainless steel, so rust shouldn't be an issue. The blade is full tang into the tagayazen timber handle. Tagayazen is a hard wood and is very durable. It also gives a beautiful natural appearance to the handle and works brilliantly with the elegant blade design. This is a very attractive knife using a quality Japanese steel and is produced in the Japanese knife city of Seiki. I think you get a hell of a lot of knife for your money with this one, and I'm certain you'll find it tricky to discover a juto of similar quality at this same price range. Shun knives are always great, and this one doesn't disappoint. Number 3. Masamoto VG Japanese Knives under $200. Masamoto is a Japanese knife maker with great history and prestige. It was originally founded over 150 years ago by Minosuke Matsuzawa. 5 generations later, it's well known as one of the best knife makers in Japan and is the top supplier of sushi knives in Japan. This 8.2-inch judo is from their VG range, but the steel used is not the VG10 steel mentioned in the Yoshihiro knife review above, as you might naturally think. It's the number after VG that tells you the steel type. VG on its own just means gold, also called V-kin, with kin being Japanese for gold. This steel is actually hypermolybdenum vanadium stainless steel. I guess they didn't think that was a catchy enough name, so they just went with VG. Well, that little detail clarified, let's talk about hypermolybdenum vanadium, because it's a very well-balanced steel. Its carbon content is between 0.95 to 1.10% with a chromium content between 13 to 14.5%. As a result, the steel is hard, allowing for a fine edge. One thing to note about the edge is that it's double beveled, but at different angles, around a 70 to 30 ratio. That's important when you come to sharpen it, as one side should be sharpened at around a 21-degree angle whilst the other needs a very fine 9-degree angle. This isn't unusual in Japanese knives, as this design can help create a more precise finer cut, since the finer side is almost totally flat. It is a design commonly found in sushi knives where precision is of great importance. Since Masamoto are the #1 producer of sushi knives in Japan, it's not surprising to see this design on their judo. The high chromium content makes this a good stainless steel, so you don't need to worry much about the effects of rust. The blade has a half bolster and full tang into the handle where it is triple riveted. The handle is made from a thermoplastic called POM. It's highly practical as it's durable and very resistant to heat and moisture. It's a well-designed knife from a top manufacturer. The only thing to watch out for is the different angled edges of the blade, so if you're planning on sharpening this knife yourself, it's best to do it by hand using a sharpening stone. Number 2. Yoshihiro Mizu Japanese knives under $200. This is the second of the 2 Yoshihiro knives on this list. This one is for the serious knife enthusiasts, as it'll take a little more looking after than the other knives on this list. Just like the previous Yoshihiro knife, this one is also made in the Japanese knife city of Seiki. And also like the previous one, it uses a high-quality Japanese steel, but that steel is quite different. The steel used is blue high carbon steel. And when they say high carbon, they mean it. The carbon content is 1.35%. That's seriously high and means this knife can be sharpened to an extremely fine edge. Except to achieve an edge of around 8 to 10 degrees on this knife, you could pay double the price and not have a sharper edge. It's about as good as you'll ever get, and it's the big benefit of having such a high carbon content. So, what's the downside? Well, that's the durability. The chromium content is basically non-existent at 0.5%. That means this is not stainless steel and it will rust if it is left wet. That's not historically unusual for Japanese steel, which is traditionally high carbon but rusts easily. But more and more Japanese knife makers are focusing more on durability as well as the strength given by carbon. What does that mean for this knife? Well, it will give you the sharpest edge you'll ever use, and that edge will last a long time before it needs to be sharpened again. But you will need to look after this knife more than you might with another. Putting it in the dishwasher is out of the question. It needs to be hand wiped down after every use so it's totally dry before storage, otherwise it will rust. But if you are happy to take the time to fully take care of this knife, then what you will get is a very traditional Japanese knife with an incredible cutting edge. It's definitely worth the hassle, but only if you're a bit of a knife enthusiast. It's probably not suitable for busy family kitchens. If this article were titled Sharpest Judo Knives Under $200, then this one would definitely be my #1 recommendation. Number 1. Yoshihiro VG10 Japanese Knives Under $200. Yoshihiro are a superb Japanese knife maker. I like them so much that they actually feature twice on this list, but the knives use very different steel, so I think it's acceptable to have them on twice. Yoshihiro produced their knives in the Japanese city of Seiki. This is the heart of Japanese knife making and has a history dating back centuries. As a general rule, if it's made in Seiki, it's a quality knife. This is certainly true for Yoshihiro. You can usually expect to pay over $200 for a Yoshihiro due to their quality. This 8.25-inch judo usually hovers around the $200 mark, so I felt it was appropriate to add to this list. The steel used is a Japanese steel called VG10. It's quite popular in high-end Japanese knife making as it offers a good balance between strength and durability. The carbon content is 1%, making this a truly high-carbon knife. That means the steel is stronger than most Western knives and can be sharpened to a finer edge. The factory edge is 15 degrees, but this steel could probably handle a 12-degree edge if you wanted to further sharpen it yourself. Whilst the carbon content is high, durability is not compromised and the chromium content is a good 15%, qualifying this as a high-performing stainless steel. That means it's very rust-resistant. The design is beautiful. In my opinion, it's the best-looking knife on this list. The hammered Damascus steel creates the sought-after flowing water pattern on the blade, typical of Japanese design. The edge of the blade has a slight curve, more than you would get with many other gyudos, and the octagonal handle is made from magnolia timber, which is hard, durable, and very attractive. It's a stunning knife and has a great balance of that hard, high-carbon steel we have come to expect from Japanese knives, while still having the durability that we are used to from Western steels. If you're looking for a quality judo at around the $200 mark, then you'll find it hard to pick one better than this.